The people of Vale Sangora leave bowls of nuts and dried fruit in their windowsills. To a traveler, it might look like a simple snack forgotten in the night air. But ask the locals why, and they'll fall silent, eyes darting to the tree line before pointing wordlessly towards the forest. For they believe in the Sanzhani, winged creatures of shadow and whim, spirits who meddle in human lives and who must be appeased with small offerings if one hopes to keep them away. In this video, we'll peel back the layers of myth, folklore, and art to uncover what these beings might represent for the Dawnwalker universe in terms of psychology and what they really are as monsters. Let's start talking. We'll start this video analysis with a direct quote from the developers. Rebel Wolves left a very curious detail about these creatures. I'll just read it to you. The people of Vale Sangora have many peculiar customs. For example, they leave bowls of nuts and dried fruit on the windowsills. When asked why, they first look around, as if to see if no one's listening in, and then point in the direction of the forest. For they believe that deep in the heart of the woods, in winding burrows and dark tree hollows, dwell little winged creatures, known as Sanzhani. Fickle and wicked, they're known to interfere with human affairs for no other reason but to satisfy their cruel whims. There are stories of children disappearing, never to be seen again, or hunters led astray into treacherous bogs, a vicious cackling the last thing they hear. Better leave a small gift out then, and hope that's enough to placate the Sanzhani. Naturally, I've explored the various folklore entities and creatures across the globe and chose my top 3 that could have been inspirations for the Sanzhani species. If you know any other spirit or folklore creature, please let me know in the comments, because I really like collecting stories about all different kind of supernatural things, especially regarding creatures. So, the first parallel lies in European fairy lore, especially Celtic and Slavic traditions. Like the Sanzhani, fairies were not the glittering children's tales we imagine today, but forces of chaos, dangerous and unpredictable. They lived in hidden places, lured travelers astray, and were notorious for stealing children from their cradles. Folk left offerings like milk, bread, honey, or everywhere they could, typically on windowsills and doorsteps, just as the Sangoran people leave dried fruits and nuts. The ritual is not a gift really, but a word, a fragile attempt to buy peace from beings who are stronger than you. In Mexico, we find the Chinex. These are small guardians of the forest, both protectors and tricksters. They confuse wanderers, lead them into danger, and sometimes even steal a person's soul. Again, offerings are the only safeguard, acknowledging the Chinex domain and humbling yourself before it. The resemblance to the Sanzhani is quite striking, I would say. Both are spirits of the wild, neither wholly good or evil, but quick to punish those who fail to respect their hidden world. Further east is Persian mythology, and we encounter the Paris. Winged beings dwelling in forests and caves, at times benevolent, at times cruel. Like the Sanzhani, they embody contradiction, capable of beauty and grace, but also of leading mortals into peril. The recurring theme across cultures is clear. Whenever humanity brushes against the wilderness, we imagine winged creatures, figures, any kind of entities who don't look like human, and they test the boundaries, demanding offerings in exchange for safety. The next two chapters are what we customarily do here on this channel, so we have visual and psychological analysis. The concept art of the Sanzhani adds an entirely new level and layer to their folkloric identity. While the lore text emphasizes their trickster cruelty and the need for offerings, the visual design suggests a deeper, almost archetypical role within the forest mythology. The most striking feature is the moth-like wings, large, velvety and dark-hued, painted in shades of midnight blue and indigo, which is basically all variations of blue and violet, but okay. This firmly ties them to nocturnal symbolism, which refers to mystery, hidden knowledge, and the space between life and death. All of these colors are typically used when we need to create a character, archetypical character, that is heavily connected to otherworldly universe or something mysterious that is hard to reach for a mere human or typical mortal. Unlike the delicate, translucent wings often given to European fairies, these wings resemble those of moths, creatures drawn irresistibly to flame. This could hint at the Sanzhani's dangerous attraction to human settlements, circling the fires, tempted by warmth but bringing misfortune in their wake. I'm wondering if it also hints at the fight mechanic, therefore Cohen can use Sanzhani's vulnerability to fire to his advantage in battle. Having a closer look at the body design, it reinforces their predatory and uncanny nature. The Sanzhani's face is humanoid, but it's quite distorted, with a wide grin and glowing eyes. These features recall folkloric descriptions of night hags and bog spirits, and also there is one particular detail that can be referred to hags in general. But, there is a particular curve on Sanzhani's body that you can see, and it definitely reminds me of a typical bog hag. The headpiece, adorned with twigs and small decorations, evokes both forest royalty and the cunning mimicry of woodland predators. This crown of branches ties them to the deep woods while also suggesting an unsettling intelligence, a ruler of shadows rather than a mere nuanced spirit. The size comparison with the human silhouette shows them as large enough to be a genuine threat, far more imposing than a tiny pixie or sprite. Their scale makes the tales of children vanishing or hunters being led astray far more believable. They are not just mischievous pests, but apex tricksters capable of exerting real physical and psychological terror. The color palette is deeply mysterious, as I said before. We can see blue skin, blackened hairs or fur, and violet-tinted wings, all of which adds to their otherworldly aura. Blue in folklore often signifies the ghostly presence, the coldness of death, or the chill of moonlight. It marks them as creatures not fully of this world, but supernatural entities that slip between human perception and nightmare. Taken together, the design positions the Sanzhani as forest-dwelling moth spirits, blending the lore of trickster spirits with visual motifs of nocturnal predators. Their appearance suggests not only why people fear them, but also why offerings of nuts and fruit might feel like the only fragile bridge to co-living between humankind and these eerie residents of the dark. Any folklore, myth, or legend represents and carries moral lessons and a desire to define the unexplainable. Indeed, the psychological layer is not a new feature in storytelling. However, no one in medieval times considered it a legitimate cause and motive of things. In the Dawnwalker universe, the Sanzhani could be read as a personification of fear, temptation, and shadow desires. Technically, it's the untamed wilderness of the psyche. These creatures show how easily people can be led astray by their own impulses and how fragile the line is between civilization's order and the chaos of the wild. So let's have a closer look at each layer of their presence in the lore. The forests they haunt are dark, tangled, and unknowable. In this way, the Sanzhani becomes a projection of our own fear of the unknown. They are the face we give to the chaos outside the light of the fire. It's an embodiment of everything we cannot control. The small bowls of fruit on the windowsill are less about feeding spirits out of genuine care and more about soothing human anxiety, performing a ritual against uncertainty draped with fear. There's also the trickster archetype at play. The Sanzhani leads travelers astray not for gain but for the sheer joy of it. In psychological terms, they are the shadow of our curiosity, our restless urge to wander into danger. They show us how imagination, when untethered, can destroy just as easily as it can inspire. And then there is the most haunting detail, the stories of children who vanish. On a symbolic level, the Sanzhani are thieves of innocence, reminders of how fragile hope is in a brutal world. They steal not only lives but futures, embodying the ever-present fear that joy and love will always be snatched away by darkness. Finally, their moth-like form could imply their own message. Moths are drawn to flame, even if it burns them. The Sanzhani reflects our own destructive attractions, which are our tendency to chase what we know will harm us. They are the mirror of our unacknowledged desires, the dangerous impulses we feed with offerings, even as we try to keep them at bay. So, in the world of Dawnwalker, the Sanzhani aren't just wicked little spirits. They are the shadow of the human mind itself. Fear, temptation, and longing fluttering at the edges of our sanity, waiting for the moment we stray too far from the path. Alright guys, let's start a discussion. As you can see, the Sanzhani stand at the crossroads of myth and nightmare. They remind us that the forest is not ours to command, but a realm of its own laws. Laws we break at our peril. The bowls of dried fruit on Sangorian windowsills are more than superstition. They are a pact, almost a whispered acknowledgement that sometimes the only way to survive in a world of fickle, wicked spirits is to feed them, symbolically or naturally. After all, who can say what waits laughing in the dark woods beyond the firelight? It could be your dark desires, uncontrolled curiosity, or a shadow with a predatory grin. Have fun, play video games, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!